afternoon, students. Now, yesterday we have seen the different properties of material on which we can sort the groups. The sorting means the material which are common properties that we can make the group, that is called as sorting, and objects which have similar properties and or dissimilar properties that we can make the group of that is called as classification. So yesterday we have studied these two terms, sorting and classification. These both terms, both these systems help us to make the categorize, means our working becomes easier. We can find out the things properly. The example yesterday I gave, that is in the mall, there are separate sections are there, plastic section, grocery section, toiletry section. So whatever you want, you can easily find out. That is the way of, that is the use of making the sorting and classification. Now in case of animals and plants also we have made the classification. So all the animals which live in the water, that we call as the animals living in the water. Those who are living on the ground, we have made the same certain group, that is called as terrestrial. Those who are living in the air, that is called as air. So according to their common features, we have made the groups of plants as well as the animals, and that method is called as classification, which help us to remember the features of different animals and plants which are in the same group. Maybe some properties or the features will be different, but most of them have the common features or common properties that we are making in the one group, that is called as sorting or classification. So if you visited the library, then in the library you can see the books are arranged in the different ways. Novels are there, then general knowledge section is separate, science books are separate, math books are separate. So this is nothing but it is the sorting. So any person, or if you go to library, which type of book you want, that if you tell to the librarian, then he can give immediately that, because that books are sorted or kept in a different way in the group of sorting. So he can find out immediate which type of book you want. Now, yesterday we have seen the two properties on which the material is made into the groups. Now that properties are, one is the appearance, in that comes luster, luster means shining, and second is the dullness. The second property which I said yesterday, that is hardness. Maybe some things are very soft, maybe other things are very hard. So according to that, we can make the group of hard material and soft material or object. Now we see the third property on which we can make the groups or sorting of the material. The third property is transparency. Transparent means which we can see from one point, one part to other part, that is called as transparency. So the material through which the light can pass, that is called as transparency, or that property is called as transparency. The material through which light can pass or we can see from the one side to other side, that is called as transparency. In short, if the light can pass through that material, then we say that the material is transparency, means we can see from one side to the other. So that is called as transparency. So on that basis, we can again make the groups of the material or objects. So the substance or the material through which light pass, that material is called as transparent. Now first we see there are three groups are there. Transparent, the material through which the light can pass. The material through which light can pass is called as transparent. In short, if we are sitting here and the glass is there, or office glass or glass is there, and we are sitting inside or outside, we can see the outside or inside, because glass is transparent, means we can see from one side to other. Such type of material or that type of object is called as transparent. In short, the light can pass through it and we can see the other side of that material. that type of material is called as transparent. So plain glass is the example of transparent. When we see in the mirror for combing or shaving, the glass mirror is also transparent because we can see from one side to the other. So that is in that light can pass through it. That is called as transparent. Then second is opaque. So what is opaque? The material through which the light cannot pass. Light cannot pass. So this type of material is called as opaque material. Now if we are sitting in the class, then the next class is which in between that wall is there. So we cannot see the students in the next class because of wall, because from the wall light cannot pass. So the material through which the light cannot pass is called as opaque. So opaque substance are wall, then door. These are the examples of opaque substance through which light cannot pass. Means we cannot see from wall what is the next there or what is in the next class. So such type of material is called as opaque. And third is translucent. Third type of material is translucent. What is translucent? The light can pass through it partially. Light pass partially. Partially means some part of the light will pass, some part will not pass. So some part of the light can pass partially. So this is called a translucent. Now all of you are knowing trace paper. If you held the trace paper in front of the light, you can see some part of the light outside, means of the other side, but completely you cannot see the light there. So such type of material is called as translucent material. Means some part of the object will pass the light, other part will not pass. So partially light will pass through the material. Such material is called as translucent. An example is trace paper, then butter paper. These are the example of translucent material. Or window pane is there where some part is graphite. So that type of glass is also called as some part we can see, other part if we see that is not clear. So such type of is called as light cannot pass partially. Such type of material is called translucent. So transparency is the property on which we can make the groups. So first group is transparent through which light can pass. The example you are knowing mirror glass. The second is the material through which light cannot pass, means we cannot see to the other side. That type of material is called as opaque, and the example are wall and door. The material which allow the light pass partially, not completely. So such type of we cannot see the object clearly from the other side. Such type of material is called as translucent. An example is trace paper. So on this transparency we can make the groups of material which is transparent, then opaque and translucent. Now we see towards the next property on which we can group the material or we can sort the material or objects. Now this is the fourth, that is the solubility. Solubility is the next property on which we can sort the objects. Now you are knowing sugar, then salt. If we take sugar and try to put into the water, if we put sugar into the water and stir it well, then after some time sugar will dissolve in the water. Same way, if we take the salt and try to dissolve in the water in the beaker, after some time the water will get the salty taste. If the sugar is dissolved, it will get sweet taste. Means sugar and salt both are dissolved in the water. So the solubility is the property where the substance can dissolve in the water. So the substance which are dissolved in the water, they are called as soluble. Substance or material that are dissolved in the water or liquid is called as soluble. So sugar, salt, these are the example of soluble material. and other is if we take sand, chalk, then pencil shaving. If we take sand, chalk, pencil shaving, if we try to put into the water and stir it very well, then also sand, chalk, pencil shaving, they are not able to dissolve in the water. All of you are knowing chalk, if we put into the water, that will not dissolve. The sand will not dissolve, it will go and settle at the bottom, and pencil shaving, that will float on the water, means they will not dissolve in the water. So the material which is not dissolve in the water, that is called as non-soluble material. That material is called as non-soluble material. So solubility gives us two type of material. One is soluble and other is non-soluble. So sugar, salt, they are soluble materials, while sand, chalk, pencil shaving are non-soluble. The material which dissolve in the water completely, they are called as soluble, which are cannot dissolve in the water, that is called as non-soluble. So one more property we have studied, that solubility means whether the given substance is soluble or not soluble. According to that, again we can make the sorting. So in this way, there are other properties are there on which things, on by using that property also we can make the groups. Now we proceed to the next property of the material on which we can make the groups of the material. Now fifth property is flotation. Now flotation means it is the action of floating. It is the action of floating. All of you are knowing, most of you are knowing the swimming. So you float on the water. So if we take the substance, suppose you have taken the iron ball, then marble, if we put it into the water, they will not float on the water, they will sink at the bottom. The iron ball will not float on the water, marble will also not float on the water. So they will deep, they will go down into the water and they will sink. So the material which do not float on the water means they will go in and deep into the water and settle at the bottom, means that we call as sink. So such type of material is called as sink. So we can make the one group, the material which sink in the water, means that will go and settle at the bottom. So that is the property we are using, flotation, in which two parts, some objects or some material will float on the water and some material will not float on the water. So that is called as sink. So the first group, that is sink, means iron ball, marble will sink in the water. In that again two cases are there. One is the material of which they made, and second is shape. So this sinking and floating depends upon the material which of the object is made and what is their shape. So those material which are very high, iron, copper, they are very high. So their shape is different and they cannot float on the water. They will sink in the water. And other material which is the wood, if you take the wood, then plastic, these material, now all of you are knowing, if you throw the wood piece on the water, it will float on the water. Plastic spoon or plastic bottle, that will float on the water. If you throw the plastic ball, that will also float on the water. So the floating or sinking is depend upon the object of which that material is made, and second is the shape. So flotation is the property by which we can sort into the groups. That two groups are the material which sinks, means that will not float on the water, that will go and settle at the bottom, and second is that will float on the water. So that are example are wood and plastic. The sink material is iron ball, marble, they will sink in the water, and flotation is nothing but action of floating. So this flotation is depend upon the object of which that material is made and the shape of that object on which this flotation means sink or floating is depend upon. So this is one more property by which we can make the group the material which sink in the water and the second is which float on the water. Now all these are very simple properties. By using that we can make the groups of different material and objects. Now we see the next, which is the next property on which we can make the groups. That property is conductivity. This is the sixth property, conductivity. All of you are traveling in the bus. Conductor is there. He is moving from one place to other and taking the tickets from passenger. So conduct means it can move from one place to other. Now all of you are going in your house. Electricity is coming. So electricity is come from the wire. So these wires are generally made up of copper, then gold, then aluminium. The electricity comes in your house. The outside your house, there are poles are there. On the poles, the wires of electricity, electric current is there. That is made up of aluminium. And in your house, the electricity comes. The wires are inside that wire. Plastic coating is there inside that. Copper wire is there. All of you are knowing that. So this copper, aluminium, they are the metal, gold, silver. All these are metals and the metals are good conductor of electricity, means they can easily allow to flow the electric current. These material allow the flow to electric current easily, means when electric current is passed through these metals, copper, gold or aluminium, silver, it can easily pass through these. So such material is called as the good conductor, or they are called as conductor, means the electric current can easily pass. So all the metals are generally good conductor of electricity, means the material which allows to flow the electric current easily, they are called as conductor. And generally all the metals, copper, gold, aluminium, all they are good conductor of electricity. So on the conductivity, first type is this conductor, that is the one group, the substance which allows the electric current pass through it, they are called as conductor. So copper, gold, aluminium, silver, most of the metals are good conductor of electricity. So all of you have seen in your house the electric current is coming, but that is covered with the plastic or rubber. The electric wires are covered with plastic or rubber coating, and inside that copper wire is there. So why it is covered with plastic or rubber? Because these plastic rubber, they are not allowed to pass the electricity through it. They resist them, do not allow pass current. They do not allow to pass the electric current, and that is why they are called as insulator. So they are called as insulator. The material which do not allow the pass the electric current, they are called as insulator. So plastic, rubber, wood. Now you have seen electrician when doing the work, he uses the table which is made up of wood. Otherwise he is using the rubber shoe, because rubber, plastic, wood, they do not allow the pass the electric current, and that is why we can save from the electric shock. And that is why electric wires are covered with plastic or rubber. And when the person is doing work with electricity, he always uses the rubber shoes, or he can take below the wood table or wood chair, because they are bad conductors of electricity, means they do not allow to pass the electric current. So they are called as insulators. And those who are allowed to pass the electric current, they are called as conductor. So in conductivity property, there are two groups. One is conductor and one is insulator. So most of the metals are good conductor of electricity, and non-metals like plastic, rubber, wood, they do not allow the electric current pass through sheath. So they are called as insulators, and because of this insulator, we save from getting the electric shock. So this is the one more property on which the two groups we can make conductor and insulator. So in this way we can make the groups of the material according to this property. Now we see the last property of that materials on which we can make the groups. That is the last point from our chapter. Now last is magnetism. All of you are knowing about this magnetism. The iron nail or pins, when brought near the magnet, they are getting attracted. These iron nail pins, when you brought near the magnet, they are getting attracted towards it. So the material which get attracted towards the magnet, that is called as magnetic. That material is called as magnetic material. The material or the object which are getting attracted towards the magnet, they are called as magnetic material. So cobalt, iron, nickel, all these are magnetic material, and the property is called as magnetism. So first sorting group of magnetism is the magnetic material. The material or the object which are getting attracted towards the magnet, they are called as magnetic material. Example is cobalt, iron and nickel. So these are the called magnetic material. And second, the material which do not attracted towards the magnet, do not attracted to magnet. The material which do not attract to the magnet, it is called as non-magnetic. The material which do not attracted to the magnet, that is called as non-magnetic material. Example, you are knowing wood, steel, plastic, these are non-magnetic material. So the material which do not attract to the magnet is called as non-magnetic material, and that is wood and steel. While the material which get attracted towards the magnet, they are called as magnetic materials. So cobalt, iron, nickel, they are magnetic material. Last year we have studied this, so you are knowing all these things. So by using these different properties, the hardness, luster, then conductivity, solubility, transparency, then floatation and magnetism, we can make the groups of different material, and which helps to study them properly or to do the work very simply and more organized. That is the use of sorting or classification. I hope that you have understood all the properties. The chapter is very easy. All the things already you have studied in the fifth standard. I hope that all the things you have understood. Thank you.